Welcome to NBA Jam Tatman QC on Fire Edition. Boom shakalaka!
Happy Little Games. Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. It was quite the enigma growing up, as it just didn't feel like Mario in my opinion. However, in my last episode of the Super Mario Bros. Series, I've covered the Strong Like Wood Super Mario Bros. 2, which was released only in Japan. If you are curious about the detailed history on the creation of the original Super Mario and Super Mario 2 Japanese version, be sure and check out my dedicated videos, which I will link to down below. Just a quick recap though, Super Mario was a huge success and Nintendo wanted to get a follow-up out to market as quickly as possible. Japanese gamers found the original title a little bit too easy, so for the follow-up they decided to ramp the difficulty up to 11. This threw off many gamers, including Howard Phillips, who reviewed games from foreign territories to see if they would be a good release candidate here in the States. However, he felt this game was way too difficult for American players, so for a number of years, this game remained a Japanese exclusive until the release of Super Mario Bros. All-Stars. Again, if you want much more in-depth information, be sure and check out the links down below. Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES would prove to be a critical and commercial success, becoming the 5th highest selling game in the entire lifespan of the Nintendo Entertainment System. What is Doki Doki Panic and how does it relate to Super Mario 2? Did this game really start out as a two-player co-op affair? Let's find out as we do a deep dive into the history of Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. After the monumental worldwide success of Super Mario Bros., Nintendo wanted a follow-up put into production as quickly as possible. The original version of Super Mario Bros. 2 started out life as a prototype which was produced by one of Nintendo's developers, Kensuke Kanabe, which was led by Shigeru Miyamoto. The prototype was quite different than the original Super Mario game, in which the game scrolled vertically and allowed the player to throw blocks. It was also intended to be a two-player co-op game, which would allow players to throw each other around. The players would lift, throw each other, climb and throw objects, and much more. However, Miyamoto was not satisfied with what he was seeing and added the traditional horizontal scrolling to make it feel a bit more Mario-like. Due to the technical limitations of the Famicom hardware, it was deemed too difficult to produce a polished game with these elements included. At this point, development was suspended until the company received instruction from Fuji Television to use the Yume Kojo Festival mascots in a game. This was when development on the prototype resumed and the game was released as Doki Doki Panic on July 10, 1987 in Japan. The game was released as an advergame or video game which used a form of advertisement either directly in the game or promoting the game in question. The game was shown off at the Fuji Television Yume Kojo 87 Media Technology Expo. Doki Doki Panic would feature enemies, characters, and themes from the festival. This game was so popular it became one of the best-selling games for the Famicom Disk System in Japan. Going back to Doki Doki Panic for just a moment, the 4 playable characters include Imagine, who is the balanced character and is replaced by Mario in Super Mario Bros. 2, Mama, who has the ability to hover and jump higher and is replaced by Luigi, Lena, who can also briefly hover but is also slow, Princess Toadstool replaces her, and finally there is Papa, who is the strongest character in the game and can run the fastest, although he isn't very good at jumping. The little guy known as Toad takes his place. In mid-1987, Nintendo of America received its first look at the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 and felt that it was too similar to the original title. They also felt it was way too difficult for American gamers. Rather than start the project from scratch, Nintendo took the finished title of Doki Doki Panic and reverted changes so it would once again feature Mario and his friends as playable characters. Doki Doki Panic takes place inside of a dream world, whereas in Super Mario Bros. 2, it takes place inside of a storybook. The first prototype's gameplay emphasizes vertically scrolling levels with two-player cooperative action. Initially, the game did not scroll to the right, only vertically, with each player utilizing such actions as lifting, carrying, and throwing each other around. There's also throwing, stacking, and climbing objects, and incrementally scrolling the screen upward when reaching the very top. Not liking what he had seen so far, Miyamoto then added the traditional horizontal scrolling to make the game feel a bit more Mario-like. He was also stated as saying, maybe we need to change this up. As long as it's fun, anything goes. However, the prototype software was too complex for the Famicom hardware at the time, and the gameplay was still considered lacking, especially in single-player mode. Unwilling to compromise on the gameplay, Tanabe suspended development of the prototype until eventually receiving instruction to use the Yume Kojo festival mascots in the game. He recalls, "I remember being pulled over to the Fuji television one day, being handed a sheet with game characters on it and being told, 'I want you to make a game with this.' Tanabe re-implemented the prototype's elements in his new game and released the Advergame-themed Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic for the Family Computer Disk System in Japan on July 10, 1987.
はい、いらっしゃい、レッドスネークカモン。はい、どうした。ああ、大根が出て、お前がなんでそっちにんだよ。この野郎、邪魔な野郎で。お前笑ってるやつあるか、本当にもう。大根引き抜いちゃうかな。抜く、担ぐ、投げる。正統派アクションゲーム、夢工場ドキドキパニック。7月10日発売。
The title, Doki Doki Panic, is derived from Doki Doki, a Japanese name for the sound of a fast-beating heart. The Yume Kojo Festival's mascots became the game's protagonist, which was a family consisting of the boy, Imagine, his girlfriend, Lena, and his parents, Mama and Papa. The rest of the games, including the main villain named Mamu, were created by Nintendo for the project. The game takes place within a book with an Arabian setting. All 4 characters are optionally playable, though the game is not fully completed until the player clears all levels using each protagonist. It was Nintendo of America's president Minoru Arakawa's request to convert the unrelated Doki Doki Panic into a proper Mario sequel, which seemed odd to the staff at Nintendo, but it had worked in the past. The cancelled Popeye prototype was transformed into Donkey Kong with great success. According to Kensuke Tanabe, although the initial concept for the game had been scrapped, the development of the original 2-player cooperative prototype inspired all of the innovative gameplay of Super Mario Bros. 2. Koji Kondo also returns as the composer, and his tunes sound great. When the game was converted into Super Mario Bros. 2, it wasn't simply a reskin of Doki Doki Panic. Yes, the main characters were changed to everyone's lovable Mario heroes, but this game marked the first time that Mario and Luigi had noticeably different heights. This allowed each character to have different attributes as well. Certain items that were familiar to the Mario franchise were already present, such as POWs and stars, which served the same purpose in both games. In the release version of Doki Doki, the player must beat the game with all 4 characters to view the actual ending. When the game was converted to Super Mario 2, this was changed where the player only needs to beat the game once to view the ending. The FDS version also includes a save feature along with a number of other visual enhancements. Even the overall story of Doki Doki featured an Arabian setting and was different. Taking place inside of a book in the land of Mu, the book tells of the dream world where the quality of dreams determines the quality of the weather the next day. the Mu citizens invent a dream machine so they can always have good dreams. A rascally being known as Mamu used the dream machine to make nightmarish monsters. However, the Mu people discovered his weakness to vegetables, which, coincidentally enough, is my weakness as well. The storybook finds its way to a pet monkey, Rusa, who gives the book to young twins, Pokey and Peaky, who end up ripping out the last page of the book, causing its ending to be erased. At this point, the nefarious Mamu is freed, reaching through the pages, kidnapping the twins, pulling them into the book. Rusa grabs the whole gang as they enter the book to rescue them.
Super Mario is back. He's blasting through worlds where no one has ever been. He's taking on enemies no one else dares. This time Mario plops up power wherever he goes, so he's bigger and badder than ever before. You've never seen creatures like these. You've never had an adventure like this. It's everything you've dreamed of and worlds more. It's Super Mario 2, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
The story for Super Mario Bros. 2 was quite different. Mario has a dream of a staircase leading to a mysterious door. A disembodied voice identifies the world as the dreamland of Subcon and asks Mario's help in defeating the villainous frog named Wart. Mario awakes suddenly and tells Luigi, Toad, and Princess Toadstool, who all shared the same dream. Not feeling too concerned, they go on a picnic but discover a cave with a long staircase. After climbing to the top, they are transported to Subcon, revealing their dreams to have been real. It's up to these four to defeat Wart and save the day. As I mentioned, this is simply not a reskin of Doki Doki Panic, but it does have little in common with the original Super Mario Bros. For example, in order to defeat enemies, the player needs to pick up clumps of grass to receive items such as vegetables and throw them at the enemies. Holding the B button to run was added to Super Mario Bros. 2, which was not found in Doki Doki. It is possible to jump on the enemies, pick them up, and throw them at the other enemies as well. There is the Mushroom and Starman, along with various other collectibles you can pick up. Coins are available, and turtle shells can be thrown and slid across the ground, defeating any enemy it touches. Bombs will explode, the POW blocks can be thrown to create a powerful quake, and cherries, which if you collect 5, will make Starman appear. There are a number of other items as well, including hearts, which will restore HP to players, magic potions, which creates a door depending on where it's tossed, and crystal balls, among others. A number of power-ups are available, including mushrooms, which don't actually grow your character, although they do give you an extra vitality point once collected. You will encounter a number of various doorways, objects, and platforms, including ladders and vines to climb, doors to enter, conveyor belts, flying carpets, and logs, among many, many others. To get the young'uns' gambling addiction started as quickly as possible, coins are available to use on slot machines at the end of each level. It is possible to win extra lives depending on the combination. There are 7 worlds available with a number of sub-levels in each one. These include Grass, the Desert, Waterfall, Ice, Night. The Desert Part 2. And finally, the sky. You have to deal with a number of bosses, including Birdo, Mauser, Triclide, Fry Guy, and the final boss of the game, which is Wart. If you are successful in defeating Wart, you free all the captives and save the day. The last shot shows Mario fast asleep, which means everything was just a dream. There were some general differences between the prototype and the final version, and also including giant eyeballs. You know what they say about people with giant eyes, they don't need glasses. Other small differences including you cannot run by holding B, and the height at which characters jump, among other things. When Super Mario 2 was released, it was another smash hit for Nintendo. It was a top-selling game in the United States for 14 consecutive months, and would go on to eventually sell over 7.5 million copies worldwide. In Japan, Doki Doki Panic received a few pieces of official merchandise such as shirts, and also figures, but here in the States, Super Mario Bros. 2 received figures, t-shirts, wind-up toys, and more. By the time the late 80s rolled around, fans in North America were clamoring to play the original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, and Nintendo had the perfect plan. In 1993, they would release a remastered version of all 4 8-bit Mario titles, including, for the first time in North America, the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2. This would be released on its 16-bit console, the Super NES, and would be entitled Super Mario All-Stars. All of the games in the compilation would include updated graphics and sounds to take advantage of the 16-bit Super Nintendo's capabilities. This was another smash hit for Nintendo, making it one of the best-selling games for the console. In a full circle moment, Nintendo felt there were enough differences between the USA version and the Japanese version of Doki Doki Panic. Also released in Japan in 1993 was the USA version of Super Mario Bros. 2, which was known as Super Mario USA. In 1996, taking advantage of Nintendo's partnership with the St. Giga satellite radio station, the company released a Gaiden version of the game for the Satellaview system entitled BS Super Mario USA Power Challenge. This game was released in a number of weekly volumes but was only available in Japan and only in this format. The game featured a number of audio and visual enhancements to the 8-bit similar to Super Mario All-Stars. It also included SoundLink audio narration which would guide players through the game and give them helpful hints. It also featured broadcast CD quality music. Super Mario Bros. 2 was so popular it was also released as an All-Stars remake as part of Super Mario Advance, which was a launch title for the Game Boy Advance. This includes several new features including new enemies and the addition of Yoshi's Challenge. Other graphical enhancements included slightly larger sprites, different backgrounds, boss order, and even digitized voice. The game was released on a number of different systems, including Nintendo's arcade PlayChoice 10, the Wii Virtual Console. The title was also one of the 30 games included in the NES Classic Edition, and finally it was made available on the Nintendo Classic service on the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Bros. 2 was another massive hit in Nintendo's large catalog of video games. I can recall going to Target to purchase this game, but it was sold out, so I ended up renting it for the weekend. I liked this game, but nowhere near as much as I did the original Super Mario. That good old Super Mario feeling would not resonate with me until the following game, which would be Super Mario Bros. 3. If you've never had the chance to play as 4 different characters, all the while taking out a giant toad, be sure and give Super Mario Bros. 2 a shot. You'll be glad you did. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me on Patreon, please click the link below. If you would like to contribute but not sign up for my Patreon, you can always click the donate button up above. Thanks everyone for watching.